I guess this is Hero. How's everyone doing today? Ajibada Kemcho, Aj Sub Keseho. So today I'm going over when Rahu in a Dasha can actually give you what you want, kind of, okay? Whenever I've previously on this channel referred or mentioned Rahu or Rahu Dasha, I've always, kind of talked about it in the light of like, it's kind of taking you on this illusionary path to false happiness, okay? But you've maybe seen or heard that Rahu can sometimes, take you to grand, success or fulfill all kinds of desires or whatever. So, in what cases can this happen? Now, this is actually a trick question, okay? Rahu in a dasha from a soul level always gives you what you want. It's your ego attachments of how this desire plays out, which does not necessarily, meet your expectations 100%. Let me give you a quick example. Let's just say you have a soul desire of some really good looking partner or some really, attractive person of the opposite sex that you would like to form some kind of, entanglement with, okay? The extreme, ego side, like ego fulfillment side, is, let's just say, you have a new neighbor that moves in and they're like a 10 out of 10 and they're showing like 10 out of 10 interest and, things just go from there, right? That would be like the ideal scenario, right? And then the non-ideal scenario would be, let's just say you work for a company or for a client or something, and your main point of contact or some member on your team or something is very attractive, but they live in like some other country and you're never going to see them in your whole life, but you're constantly talking to them on the phone or on some corporate communication application where you can talk to each other and you can see their face sometimes or whatever, right? That would be like the like kind of on the worst extreme side from your ego standpoint, to where you can see how this desire at a soul level is playing out as, you're getting this relationship or this, this bond or something with a person of the opposite sex, but you can see how from an ego standpoint, the ego really wants situation A, but sometimes a situation like B can turn out, okay? But so from a soul level, you're getting what you want, but from an ego level, you're not. And that is purely all determined from your karma, right? And this is kind of where the dance of like, Rahu and Ketu kind of play out, right? You would not have come on this earth if you knew that your desires would not be fulfilled, right? So your desires are always going to be fulfilled. It's just how they are going to get fulfilled, right? And this is where the suffering of Rahu comes in, right? And the suffering is inevitable with Rahu, right? Because when you fulfill your desires, it's a very big component of your life. So your ego is naturally going to get attached to it and attached to how exactly it's going to play out and things like that. It's just kind of almost heading you downhill, right? This is why, if you've also seen me talk about, Rahu Dasha, the ending is usually the worst, right? And the beginning of the end is usually when your Rahu sun starts. Excuse me. Man, holy. I don't know what happened there. But it usually starts when your Rahu sun starts, right? And what do you notice about sun, right? Sun is literally the planet that, like, is your ego. It's literally your identity, okay? Who you are in this human form, okay? So when that happens, when Rahu and your ego kind of unite, that's like the end of the disaster, or the beginning of the disaster, the beginning of the end, okay? So I hope that kind of made sense. And you can apply this to anything, okay? You can apply this to, like if you have some desire of, a partner or some affair or whatever, At a soul level, the soul really doesn't judge, right? It comes here to do whatever it wants to do. Okay, some sort of career thing or some sort of enjoyment factor, right? Let's just say somehow you have some desire of some nice car, right? Obviously, the most extreme that the ego wants is you're able to somehow purchase like a Ferrari or something on your own, right? And the less extreme is, let's just say your neighbor gets a really nice Mercedes. You can look at it all day. You can probably hear it. Maybe you can go with him for a drive or whatever it is. It's not yours, right? You can't show off to your friends with it. You can't, but these are all ego things, right? But your soul kind of got what it wanted in a sense. Your soul's always going to get what it wants. Like I said, it would not have come here and done this dasha if it did not think it would get that, right? It always is going to get what it wants. Okay, this is like a spiritual, place we live in, even if we don't really think of it like that all the time. Okay. Now, I know, but once you're asking, okay, well, how do I know when, my desires are going to be fulfilled exactly how my ego wants them to be fulfilled? Okay. There's two parts to this question. One, your desires are never going to be fulfilled exactly how your ego wants them to get fulfilled. That's why suffering is always usually inevitable during Rahu. Okay. But now, what you're probably going to ask next is, okay, yeah, I know that kind of, but how do I know if it's going to be like good? Okay. All right, fine. I'm not going to go too much into detail. You can find like 17,000 videos minimum on this. Okay. But this is basically, you look at the fundamentals, right? What house is it placed in? What sign is it placed in? What nakshatra is it placed in? Where's the nakshatra lord? Where's the sign lord? What planets are it's conjunct with? Rahu conjunct with any planets like almost like blows them up. Not like literally, but it takes it to a whole nother level, right? The sign or where it's aspecting, you have to look there. Depending on what you're looking for, you have to look in certain divisional charts, right? The fundamentals are there, okay? But you have to remember two things. At a soul level, you're always going to get your desire. And at an ego level, it's never going to be fulfilled to however your ego wants to be fulfilled to. Okay, so just take all that with a grain of salt. Okay? I think that's pretty much it for this video. Okay. Yeah, we'll end it there. If you have any questions or comments, as usual, you can feel free to let me know. And until next time, I will talk to everyone later. Thank you all very, very much for watching.